One of my favorite things about Souls games and Souls-likes is the hub environments. They are cozy oftentimes, and they are a respite from the danger. They're a thing that started in the very first one of Demon Souls and have, in some ways, evolved, in some ways regressed, depending on the game, as the bonfire has gained more functionality. The hub world has, in some instances, lost a lot of its importance, but regardless, they're still useful for going back to. That being said, though, this is kind of the inverse of the bonfire conversation, because we're going to be judging these hub worlds in this tier list based off of their functionality, their vibes. Those are basically the only two things, because we also had a third criteria for bonfires, which was like the scarcity, the relief factor, the suspense to getting one, whereas that's not really how the hub environments work. You can teleport back to them whenever you want, but as the bonfires over time gained more functionality, the hub worlds lost less importance. So games where the hub environment ended up being super important made the bonfires rank a little bit lower on the list. So maybe the inverse will be true here, and the games where the bonfires have the least importance will make the hub worlds more valuable on the list. We'll have to wait and see as we rank these. Now, as far as what games we're actually going to include here, I wanted to keep it pretty strictly to Souls games, Souls-likes, plus Sekiro. I don't consider Sekiro to be a Souls-like. That's a conversation for a different day. But it is a FromSoft game that's talked about in the same conversation, so I wanted to include it. But beyond that, I want to keep these things strictly to Souls-likes. There's other things that kind of like teeter on the edge of being a Souls-like. Something like Stellar Blade often comes up in those conversations because it has things that are kind of like bonfires. There is a thing that's kind of like a hub world, but also at what point do hub worlds become towns? There's really only one thing on this tier list that like is actually a town, but also is the hub world. But the game itself is very strictly a Souls-like. I'm talking about another Crab's Treasure. Regardless, though, as you kind of push the boundaries of like what should be included in these conversations, you're broadening the scope to an almost infinite level here, and eventually we just be also ranking towns. So I wanted to narrow the scope of this, keep it to things that are very strictly a Souls-like, and also only Souls-likes that I've played. Haven't played all of them. I haven't played AI Limit, haven't played Code Vein, haven't played Steel Rising, haven't played Mortal Shell. Maybe all of those would rank super high in hub worlds. I have no idea. Maybe we'll revisit this list in a year after I have more under my belt. For now, we're sticking to 11 different games. We're doing the Dilapidated Temple from Sekiro. We're doing Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 1. We're doing Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 3. These are in no particular order. We're doing Hotel Krat from Lies of P. We're doing Majula from Dark Souls 2. We're doing New Carcinia from Another Crab's Treasure. We're doing the Roundtable Hold from Elden Ring. We're doing Skyrest from Lords of the Fallen 2023. We're doing the Crevice from First Berserker Khazan. We're doing the Hunter's Dream from Bloodborne, and we're doing the Nexus from Demon Souls. So we're going to start with the Nexus because this was the first one. This is the model that pretty much all of them would follow after this. This is, to me, is going to rank pretty high on this list. The Nexus is like an actual hub world. It is your main point of contact with all these other things. You pretty much always go back here. You have to go back here to do basically all the functionality that would later be rolled into bonfires. Because of how central and core this is to the experience, and you actually have like a tower, a giant archstone for each of the areas that you go to, it is very much like a hub world environment. The definition of a hub world gets a little bit looser as we move forward, but this is very much like a hub world like this is the hub. On top of that, it is dripped out. Like, the vibes here are immaculate. It looked great in the original, and it looked even better in the remake. It just, like, it has, like, this nice coziness to it. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot of verticality to it. There's a lot of levels. There's, like, interesting stuff that you can find way up at the top. There's a lot of lore that's drenched in the actual Nexus itself. Like, you can go and you can find the, I forget what they're called, like, the corpses of like the small dudes. I don't remember their names. It's been minutes since I played Demon Souls, but there's just like there's so much there. There's the leaderboard room at the very top. There's a lot to explore. It's also, if you don't want to fuck up the world tendency of any of the worlds that you go into, jumping to your death after each boss fight in the Nexus is like the only way to like really control the world tendency. You have to go back here for basically everything, every shopkeeper, every upgrade, except for upgrading your weapon, which you actually have to use one of the archstones to travel to. They should have just brought the blacksmith into the Nexus. That's annoying. It's annoying that there's no blacksmith in the Nexus. But beyond that, you gotta go here to level up. It's also how you access the final boss, which like in a really cool way. To me, this is the definition of an S tier hub world. Because hubs are hubs, the vibes are more important. I think that there's only really two criteria with the hubs, the functionality and the vibes, so I think they're both equally important. I think it's a 50-50 split. I think the hub is the vibe is more important. Okay, we can do that. We can do vibes over functionality. Maybe make it a 60-40 split. Oh, something we should consider for ranking hubs, ease of navigation. I don't know if any of these are difficult to navigate, but we can definitely have that in the conversation. S tier informed a large number of hubs to come after it. Yeah, it was the progenitor. Like, it defined hub worlds, I think, in the way that bonfires defined bonfires. Major drip. I like the Nexus vibes wise. It's super cool and functionality is really good. I agree. S tier all day. Absolutely. 100%. Okay, easy call. Also, one other thing I want to say about the Nexus is like, yeah, like this was the most maybe it's because I just became desensitized to it over time, but to me, this was the most satisfying hub for all of the NPCs to go back to. Like, I really liked where they set up shop, populating the Nexus. Some of it might have been the novelty of it being like the first one, but also it did a really cool thing with one of the NPCs that you got could kill everyone else in the Nexus. Which sucked, but also was really cool. Like that, it created like a murder mystery in the Nexus, like giving it its own. It felt like a living, breathing little town that I was creating, and like you let the wrong person back in town, and then they just start. They start a whole murder mystery that you gotta investigate. So really cool. I like everything about the Nexus. I think is top tier. Their first attempt and one of their best ones ever. They did that in Bloodborne too. But Bloodborne is interesting because your NPCs that you save don't go back to the Hunter's Dream. They go to Cathedral Hall or whatever it was. I can't remember the name of the place. We'll talk about that when we get to the Hunter's Dream. But whether or not we deduct points for the hub kind of being split into two, like a lot of the stuff that would normally be in the hub being done in a place that's not the hub, but we'll talk about that when we get to Bloodborne. The Hunter's Dream. Okay, well, I guess we're talking about it right now. Vibes-wise, I think one of the only ones that's touching the Nexus. Vibe-wise, this is immaculate. It's a gothic cemetery with a full moon at all times. There's not quite as much to explore as there is in, like, the Nexus, but there is, like, a little bit more there, and I also like how you access the final boss from the Nexus. I don't know, I'm a big sucker for accessing the final boss from the hub world. I think it's always like a cool, oh, this was there the whole time and I didn't know it kind of thing. Also, I don't know if we give it credit for this or not, but I like how FromSoft does this trick a couple times, but I like how you find the original Hunter's workshop, the original Hunter's Dream in world. I don't know if we give it credit for that, but if we do, there's that. The functionality for the bonfires in Bloodborne are almost non-existent. You can't really do anything from them. We gave those bonfires an S tier almost purely on drip alone. we ranked everything so harshly based off the functionality. We kind of gave a pass to Bloodborne purely because of the drip. The Hunter's Dream, as a result, has a shit ton of functionality. Basically all the functionality that would normally be associated with a bonfire. So maybe we were too kind to the bonfire there, but now the Hunter's Dream gets to benefit from that too. Vibes-wise, it's pretty incredible. Bloodborne as a whole, vibes-wise, is this here. That's true. The doll wandering the garden's cool. I like the doll a lot. Yeah, the doll's my favorite of the maidens. S tier because it shows FromSoft honing on their craft for hubs. I agree. I think this is an S tier hub. Bloodborne's the only one that gets double S's. Yeah, yeah, probably. Well, we'll see. But yeah, this is a top tier hub world, dude. Yeah, the Hunter's Dream and the Nexus. Only one never getting remake remaster to. It'll happen. PS6 launch title. Lock it in. I really think they're just saving it for a launch title for the next system. The Crevice. Okay, this one I think ranks pretty high on aura department. I really like the way the Crevice looks. I like how there's two sides to it. There's like the blue one and the red one, so it gives you two different vibes. That being said, it's slightly annoying to navigate. There was a couple times where I was like, wait, how do I get to that person? And then I walked down the wrong path and I had to like completely walk back around. So I think like it loses some points in navigation department. Because it's annoying to navigate. Yeah, double world aspect was really cool. It is annoying to navigate. It loses some points in functionality just because you can do so much at the Blade Nexus, but it's still valuable to be able to talk to the NPCs and stuff. It's kind of big for no reason. I agree, Faye. Okay, easy ranking right there. Skyrest. Hard to find like a really good picture of Skyrest. I wanted to show more of like the whole hall or whatever, but this is like the best I could get. Where were you thinking for Skyrest? I like Skyrest. Even with all the functionality that's in the Vestiges, I still think that like the Skyrest ended up being pretty important. They struck a pretty good balance. I also really like how you unlock more parts of it later. and there's more to explore. Personally, I think Skyrest vibe-wise is a little lacking. I like the way it looks, but I also think that has a lot to do with just how good the game looks in general. In the art directions, this game is top tier, and I don't know how much that I want to attribute to the game, how much I want to attribute to Skyrest itself. I think put Skyrest in A. I like Skyrest a lot. I like all the NPCs there. I like how you loop back to it too. Like, it kind of does a Firelink shrine thing where you don't even realize you're about to loop back in on it, and then you do, and then you unlock new doors to it. We'll talk about Firelink shrine when we get to it, but like it has the same positive of like paths looping back to it, with also having a lot of interesting things to explore. There's a lot to explore in Skyrest. It's like a big area. I like Skyrest a lot. How it's interconnected to the world is really cool. Yeah, I think I want to give points to the hub being so well integrated. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the hub worlds being like a separate thing, but I do think if it's integrated into the world, I do think that gives it points. All right, Roundtable hold. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion or not. I didn't care for Roundtable hold that much. It really has next to no function. I mean, there is some functionality to it, but because of how much you can do at the Sites of Grace, I didn't find myself going back there that much. It does have good vibes, but I don't know. I was never like excited to go back there. But that might be a personal thing. Fucking hate the Roundtable hold. Okay, F. Z tier. Okay, alright, okay. Good. I am not alone. I was pontificating. I was elaborating on it, but I wasn't looking at chat, and I look over and I see that everyone agrees that Roundtable hold sucks. Okay, which is strange because I can't tell you why I don't like Roundtable hold. I just don't. It's not really a hub environment because it doesn't like. I mean, it is the hub. It's where NPCs go back to, and nothing there. It's like there's no archstones there. There's no tombstones there, which a lot of them don't have like archstones or tombstones. But usually, if they don't, they're like interlaced in the world itself. Like, I don't know. You upgrade your sword there, and you can talk to that dude who eventually betrays you. And then there's that one fighting pit. But even the fighting pit was like a big missed opportunity because like that would have been a perfect place to like have like a legit training area where you could like try out weapons before you buy them or like try out weapons before you commit to an upgrade or something. And it didn't really serve that purpose. It was like basically just served as like a boss fight. For how big of a game Elden Ring is, it's weirdly small. And I don't know, like there's parts of it that feel cozy, but also parts of it just feel like it's poorly lit. I also kind of have an issue personally with like Elden Ring's overall art direction just being very yellow. Areas look beautiful, but they also just like, I just don't like the color grading of Elden Ring, if that makes sense. Like, I think Elden Ring's art direction is beautiful, and then they just put the piss filter over for a lot of stuff. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the general like yellow hue of Elden Ring's, a lot of Elden Ring stuff. I really like Shadow of the Erdtree. I think Shadow of the Erdtree fixed a lot of that for me. Khazan had Archstones, that's right. You're right. It absolutely did. Yeah, it had the different portals. You're totally right. I can't believe how often I got lost in a circle. That's true. It was small and it had poor. It also felt like it had poor navigation. It was too small for the navigation to be that poor. You do find it in the real world, which I like. So I do like that part of it. I like actually finding it in the real world. I kind of wish that whole area that you found in the real world was the Roundtable hold, but even in Night Rain they use the Roundtable and I still get lost. I hate it. I have a feeling this will be controversial, but I'm glad I'm not alone in just like not really liking Roundtable hold. We added so many at this point that having a miss this late in also hurts it. Plus Roundtable holds us a giant grace where we say we hate graces. That's true. Yeah, it's just a giant, bigger, wispy thing. New Carcinia. Okay, well, this is the one that's very clearly like a town, a city, and I actually love this. I really like the idea of cities in Souls games. I would love to see like more FromSoft games do this, where your hub environment's also like a living town where people exist and do commerce, and like it's maybe the one area that's not like blighted or being torn apart. I like how big this place is. I like how much you explore here. I did get lost a little bit, but because you have a grappling hook, that helped a lot with it. I like how there's Upper Carcinia and Lower Carcinia. It's got so much functionality as a result of there not being much functionality for the Moonshale Snells. The music here is good. It's got good vibes, especially like Upper Carcinia. I love talking to all the different NPCs here. Major story moments happen here. It's integrated into the rest of the world, so if we're giving points for that, a central nexus of like all the areas around it. It takes you a while to get there too, so like, it feels like a big deal. I love everything about New Carcinia. I'm good at putting this in S if you guys are. I'll die on the hill of it being S tier. Okay, cool. S tier, no contest, great vibes, all functionality. Navigation get confusing, but you end up finding a secret loser's result. True. Only time getting lost, nets you more stuff. True. We'll place everything in the tiers, and then we'll go and we'll reorder everything. We'll do that last this time. We'll reorder everything last. I want this to be like the model for a lot of stuff that will come, games to come. Yeah, the shopkeepers are great too. The lore stuff is great too. How you find like the shark mask essentially that the guy used behind his shop. Just a jolly place to be, 100%. Even the low levels, the dirty streets beneath the city have great vibes to it. Lone shark pun is priceless. Yeah. Majula. I like Majula a lot. I think it is my favorite of the Dark Souls hub worlds. I like how pretty it is. I like how it flips your expectations. It's the only one that's not like dark and depressing. Not that dark and depressing is necessarily bad, but I like how bright Majula is. Despite how much functionality is in the bonfires, you still do have to go back to Majula to level up your flask and level up. So it still does have, and use the blacksmith. So it still does have important functionality. That being said, the rest of the merchants aren't, I didn't find to be all that important, but you have a house, dude. It's the only one where you have a house. I know it's not literally your house, but like, I love the house. I love how it's integrated into the rest of the world. After like the tutorial period, it's like the starting point where you have like two very distinctly different ways to go, and then you unlock more ways to go, and then eventually you can use the well to unlock more places to go. I love Majula. Before I even check chat, I was thinking A, because it does have good vibes. The vibes aren't touching our S tiers in my opinion. Majula is a darn good vibes wise, cozy cottage village. Okay, fine. B. I still hate it though. Oh, okay. Whoa, no, I want to hear. Let's hear the arguments against, though. Why do you hate Majula? You didn't like the Pits of Death? I didn't like the Pit of Death, but I do like how you access it from Majula. Where it ends up taking you is not really Majula's fault. Low A. Oh, wait, I want to hear the arguments against Majula, though. I want to hear these out. It might just have recency bias, too, because I just played it. For me, it just felt too spread out without anything really in it. I like that you have a house, but there's not, like, a real reason to go to most of the places. That's true. I also think the monument in Majula is super cool. All right, let's put Majula in A for right now. We don't have anything in B and C yet. I think that needs to change, but there's some ones coming up that I think are going to take those spots. Hotel Krat. To me, this is an S tier just because of the record player. Like, I like that you can put on your own music. It's got such great cozy vibes. Functionality is through the roof, especially early on in the game. Not only that, but it's probably my favorite game to do the upgrades. Like, I know exactly who, like, the arm upgrade man, the weapon upgrade girl, the chair to upgrade your pure organs. All of the merchant NPCs stand out so much where, like, I could not tell you what anybody looked like. I couldn't tell you the name or like what anybody looked like, and pretty much like all the other upgrade merchants in almost every other game, except for maybe in Our Crab's Treasure, are just kind of guys. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, there's the gruff blacksmith, there's the girl who sells items. The NPCs in this game have so much more personality than almost any of the other Souls games. There's a lot to explore. It's big. It's got that training area, which is nice. I think this is easily S tier. Also incredibly interconnected with the rest of the world. That's true, it is. And it's even interconnected with the DLC, which I was really impressed with the way they loop back in with the DLC as well. You come back story-wise like 3 times. The DLC, you can change things in the hub too. S tier reserved, yes. You can give the cat a collar. 100%. We're going to reorder these at the end. But yeah, S tier hub. Hotel Krat. Incredible. Firelink Shrine Dark Souls 3. I don't know if this will be controversial. I think this is B. For me, I'll tell you what, it loses major points for the heads I place on the chairs not being really visible. Like, you place like a small skull on the chair and it doesn't like look that different. This would have gained a lot of points to me if there was like a whole corpse on the chair or something that gave an instant visual indicator that I'm like progressing. I like how much it looks like the Nexus, but to me it's just kind of a knockoff Nexus. There's not as much explorability as there is the Nexus. It's nice having the blacksmith right there. I think that this was fine. It was better than Dark Souls 1 Firelink Shrine, but like I'm not super big on this one. I personally like Firelink Shrine better than Majula, but I'm biased. Okay. Cool for nostalgia, but not good for ranking lists. C for me. Oh, wow. Okay. I think the reveal is the best part about it. It's literally just Demon Souls hub, but to me, not as good. With a blacksmith. The chairs were a missed opportunity here, and I'm good of dropping Majula to B. The Wish Demon Souls hub, if you will. Okay. Firelink Shrine. I don't like Firelink Shrine. I think it looks so boring. I think it's the least interesting one. It's small. it does give you multiple paths. Like I like how interconnected the world is, especially the first time that you like go down that elevator and you realize you're back there. That is a really cool moment. I guess it does have high functionality. It's in such an aura deficit that I just don't like it. The worst hub, I think. It has no redeeming features outside being connected. That's true. Yeah. That feeling of going down the elevator and being back in Firelink Shrine is cool because of the interconnectivity. It's in such an aura deficit. It's like, oh, thank God I'm back here because I need the bonfire, not because I want to come back to Firelink Shrine. Are we putting this in D? Are we putting this in the worst? No, Roundtable Hold might be worse, actually. D or C? What do we think? D above Roundtable. D all the way, but above Roundtable, okay. I wonder if this is a popular opinion or not, because I thought I was going to be alone in hating Roundtable Hold, so it's very gratifying to know that I'm not. But do we know, is this for whatever reason, I can see this being controversial. Is it the common narrative that Roundtable Hold sucks, or are we outliers? Yeah, everything in the Roundtable Hold looks the same. It's too small of an environment to get lost, and yet I do every time. And then the last one, the Dilapidated Temple in Sekiro. I don't like the Dilapidated Temple. Almost never felt a need to go back there. Obviously, you have to go back there to upgrade your arm. There is one saving grace about, which I'll talk about in a sec. It's so out of the way. As far as a hub goes, it's like the least impactful hub. It's not even really a hub. The castle that you get to is more of a hub than this is. The only thing I think the Dilapidated Temple has going for it is the training area, which is actually very, very useful. Because of all the mechanics that are like specific to Sekiro, being able to actually practice them against a live enemy, I wish all of the Souls games did this. Like, I love having the practice area where you can fight against like an enemy that actually moves around, like a live enemy, and you can fight against it infinitely. I want to give it points for that because like it's something I wish every single Souls games had. But it's not very high on vibes. It loses off in almost every department. I definitely want to put it at least in C just because of how useful that training area is. Which, if we were going by the rules that we had for the bonfires, it's like if it does something that no other game does, it's instant S. But, you know, different tier lists, different rules. Fate, do you think that it having the training area bumps it to B? Or do you think C is where it's going to stay? I think C. Okay. I'm going to place it above Firelink Shrine because of the functionality. Going back up to the S tier right now. Where do we want to place these? This is hard. I love all of these almost equally for different reasons. It's kind of a hard placement. Move Crab Souls to 2 and I think it's good. I don't like putting Hotel Krat last. I kind of like Hotel Krat even more than the Hunter's Dream. The record player alone and all the functionality there. I kind of like Hotel Krat more than New Carcinia, but I think New Crevice Souls needs to be 1. Whoa. I think I like Hotel Krat more than the Nexus. I think this is the order. Demon Souls still number 1 for me. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park so hard for being the first one. I'll put the Nexus at number 2. Yeah, I like this. In fact, I think the rest are all in perfect order. I do as well. Cool.